This is Tuning Into Sci-Fi TV, the viewer's guide to genre television for the weeks of February 2nd to February 21st, 2026. Hey everybody, welcome back. I'm Brent Barrett.
I'm Kevin Batchelder.
And I'm Wendy Hembrock.
And we are back from a little bit of a break, but we have some stuff to talk about, and we're really excited about it. I just want to remind you all that we do have Discord. We've talked about this before. It's a really cool place to talk to other fans of genre television, other listeners of this podcast, talk about news stories, new shows, all sorts of things. So check it out. There's a link to our Discord server in the show notes. It is a free service. The software is free. It's available on every platform, so there should be no reason why you can't join. So go ahead and do that.
Come on in, join in on the fun.
Yep, now the Olympics are over. You got plenty of extra time.
Excellent. And just one more reminder. We haven't reminded you about this in a long time, but be sure to share our podcast with people that you think might enjoy genre television. I remember I ran into some folks at work who were into sci-fi television. I mentioned that we were doing this podcast, and they became listeners and even started asking me questions about, what should I watch on TV? What's a good sci-fi or a good fantasy show and stuff. So, if you reach out to people and let them know that the show exists and let them know about our Discord as well.
Yep, good way to keep adding to the fun community, whether it's Discord or listeners or whatever. It's nice to find something you all enjoy.
Yep, and fun to share.
And finally, stay tuned. Later on in the water cooler, we're going to do the induction for the 2025 TIST Genre Television Hall of Fame. So stay tuned. But for now, we're going to head over to the spoiler-free water cooler.
Do you enjoy movies where scripts and production values are ignored in favor of dudes in rubber monster suits chasing bikini beach girls? Is quality of gore more important than quality of acting? Then Junk Food Dinner wants you. Junk Food Dinner is an explosion of cult movie podcasting, devastating the internet with shrapnel made out of horror, action, and sci-fi flicks. Each week, your hosts bring a favorite movie to the show to swoon over and or hate on. Go to junkfooddinner.com to download some episodes now or search for it on iTunes.
First up on the water cooler, we give shows that were on over the last couple of weeks a quick review of Watch It Now, Watch It Soon, Let It Sit, or you can skip it. We are covering the weeks of February 2nd to February 21st of 2026. So we have 3 episodes of School Spirits. We have episode 4 of season 3, the Bereaftest Club. I knew I'd screw that up when I pronounced it. And episode 305, Raiders of the Lost Car, and episode 6 of season 3, Children of the Scorned. I'm going to give them an increasing score here. I think the first one was a Watch It Soon, then we went high-end Watch It Soon, and I think the most recent one was a low Watch It Now. It's getting better as it's getting towards the end of the season. I'm excited.
Yeah, my thoughts are very similar to yours. Definitely agree that it's building up good. Only got a couple episodes left. So I would go actually Watch It Soon, high Watch It Soon, and I couldn't quite go to Watch It Now, so it's a very high Watch It Soon.
The Bereaftest Club, I would give a high Watch It Soon. Raiders of the Lost Scar, high Watch It Soon. And the most recent one, I would give a Watch It Now. Low.
Yeah, awesome. And we did have, by the way, during this break that we were away, the season finale to Fallout Season 2, Episode 8, The Strip. I would give it a Watch It Now.
I'm looking forward to talking about it because I don't know, I wanted more, so I'd just say it's a very solid Watch It Soon.
I would give a very high Watch It Soon, almost a low Watch It Now.
Excellent. Good to hear that from you, Wendy. All right. We also have Star Trek Starfleet Academy, a show that unfortunately I have given up on. We have episode 5 of season 1, Series Acclamation Mill. Episode 6 of season 1, Come, Let's Away. Episode 7 of season 1, Cozine. I don't know how to pronounce that. But like I said, I am no longer watching, so I'll leave it to my co-hosts.
All right. So in order, I will go very low, Watch It Soon. Watch It Now. Skip it.
Kevin, I'm pretty much exactly the same. I would give it a low Watch It Soon. Episode 6, Watch It Now. Episode 7, skip it.
Wow, you guys do not understand how significant it is that Kevin gave a show a skip it.
Yep.
He has never done that.
It's funny, I was trying to think when I put that in my notes, I'm like, have I ever given this? I think maybe once, but damned if I can remember when.
It was so long ago. If you did, I don't remember.
Yeah. Don't like to use that.
All right, and we've got another show that turned out so far to be pretty darn good, A Night of the Seven Kingdoms. We have 2 episodes, episode 4, 7, and episode 5 of season 1, In the Name of the Mother. I would say they're both watch it now.
I'm not watching yet.
Episode 4, I would give it a high watch it now, and episode 5, I would give a low watch it now.
Cool, averages out to what I give it. Awesome.
It does.
All right. Moving on to some articles and news items we think you guys might be interested in. First of all, we've got some news that Terminator, it's just an animated show that we haven't been watching. Terminator Zero has been canceled at Netflix. It was, like I said, an animated show. I think the showrunners commented on the fact that it had a lot of critical, appeal, a lot of critical praise, but just people weren't watching it. And that kind of goes with us because I think maybe I vaguely remember we talked about it coming, but I completely forgot that it was even on the air.
Yeah, and I think obviously that's a good part of why maybe it's not coming back was I didn't hear any buzz about it in my social circles. I mean, I didn't watch it, but I also didn't see anyone else talking about it. And the only thing that kind of caught my eye about this, or just reinforced, I should say, rather than caught my eye, since is the fact that this was the showrunner doing a social media post. And I think this is very much the trend now for almost all of the streamers and the networks. They don't announce cancellations. They just say nothing. And then eventually a showrunner or the lead writer or somebody is someone who ends up saying, oh, yeah, by the way, they told us that we're not going to get another season. So specific to the show, apparently the showrunner was given a chance to do like a couple of episodes to kind of wrap the story, and he kind of politely declined, saying I would need more than that to do it any justice. So just the way things are working now, I guess.
Yeah, this one, I remember we talked that it was coming, but then I don't remember seeing a trailer for when it came out or that it came out. But I do remember that we talked about it, and it was like, conceptually, was it going to be any good or not? I'm not surprised that basically these channels are just basically going silent about what they plan to do with shows because they don't want the backlash.
Yeah. And it would be, they wouldn't have to have that problem. They wouldn't be in that problem if they just maybe advertised it a little better. Because I have a feeling that if this had been, put on beginning of shows, at Netflix, like a teaser at the beginning of shows or a commercial or something, that we might have actually watched it. I mean, I think I might have. I still want to go back and check it out because it's Terminator. I just want to see what it's all about.
And that's an interesting point that I thought of too, Brent, because my subscription to Netflix is on their ad plan because their ads aren't too bad. There's only, a couple per show. But I always, when I see them, I think to myself, you've got so much content. Why don't I see ads for your own stuff? I mean, I know they want to make money, so they're going to do ads from people who are paying. But that's still, since I'm on an ad plan, that would be the time to also throw in, letting me know about a show or two.
Yeah, I agree with you on that because I don't think they promote their own shows the way that like Apple does or Disney Plus.
Yeah, I get the feeling Netflix is more of the model of, okay, we'll fund a season for your show. If you can get an audience, we'll keep it. If not, it's gone. That's about how they operate.
Yeah, and by the way, you get to be the one to build the audience.
Yeah, exactly. We're not spending any money on that stuff. It's up to you. All right, well, moving on to some maybe better news. Kevin's got some news about Monarch.
Yeah, exciting, fun stuff in that we got the official trailer for Monarch Legacy of Monsters for Season 2, which is coming on Friday, the 27th of February. And, I got to tell you, this trailer looks awesome. They know how to play up the monsters and all in here, along with the characters we know. I did have to kind of temper myself after my initial excitement of like watching this and then like waiting and watching it the next day and thinking, oh, yeah, it's going to be a great season. Because a few folks, again, in social circles, and I think even on our Discord, were like, Kevin, you do remember back to season 1 when they showed lots of monsters and we really didn't get many. So this is another one of those. This could be the high points of it. But very excited the show is back. Enjoy the characters, the actors, looking like there's, some additional new creatures still we're going to see. So definitely big thumbs up and excited that this will be on the regular watch list and that Brent's going to be on there with us this season.
Yeah, I was very excited when I saw this trailer, and then I did remember back to, hey, we thought there were going to be more monsters in season 1 than we actually saw on screen, but the characters were very interesting. The story was very interesting, so I'm definitely excited for this, and it's coming back very soon.
Yeah, the trailer looks exciting. I haven't seen season 1 yet, but I did see the trailer. I don't mind spoilers, folks, in case you're new here. And also along that line, I saw a video on YouTube after we recorded last time. I think maybe it was a little after that, or maybe it was after I watched this trailer. I don't know, but I saw a video that had all of the gaiju, all of the big monster scenes from season 1. And I thought, oh, that sounds pretty cool. That's the kind of thing I'd probably be interested in. So I watched it, and then it dawned on me afterwards. It's like, wait a minute, this is only 20-something minutes long. In the entire season, this is all the monsters you saw? And it goes in line with what you guys were saying about how they weren't very common in the first season. So, but yeah, the trailer looks interesting. So I'm excited to join you guys for season 2. All right, and on to season 3. Wendy's got some news about House of the Dragon.
Yes, House of the Dragon dropped a season 3 official teaser. And I would call it a trailer. There's pretty good content in here about things to expect for season 3. And a date of June, not the specific date, so it could be the last weekend in June, but June is earlier than I was expecting. I wasn't thinking it was coming until the end of the summer. So, maybe they've gotten excited about the very good ratings for Night of the Seven Kingdoms and decided to, move it up a little earlier, but either way, it's good news.
Well, I hope they don't misinterpret the good ratings from Night of the Seven Kingdoms and think, oh, people are hungry for anything in the George R. R. Martin universe, because I am still not very interested in House of the Dragon. But Wendy, is this the final season, or did they go for 4? I don't remember what they have.
There's going to be 4.
4, okay.
Yeah, nice to see that folks who are bigger fans get a teaser, a meaty one at that, because I did watch it. And while not, as Wendy said, while not the specific date, at least this is when we're going to get it. I like that a lot of these streamers especially are starting to do that. If they don't at least give a date, they are at least giving the month, which is kind of fun because it's that anticipation that part I think they're doing a good job on.
They are. All right. Well, I've got a link here with some information about the Spider-Man universe. If you recall, in the Into the Spider-Verse animated movies, if you saw them, there was a noir character called Spider Noir, and Nicolas Cage was the voice of that character. Well, they've decided to adapt that to create a live-action Spider Noir series. I believe it is on Prime. Yeah, it is. May 27th on Amazon Prime. There is going to be, I don't know if it's a limited series, I don't know how many episodes it is, but Nicolas Cage is going to be in this Spider Noir, superpowered, superhuman Marvel show. Not by Marvel, by Sony, because Sony owns the rights to Spider-Man. And you're going to be able to watch it in either black and white or color. So if you like the noir in black and white, you can do that. Or you can watch it in color. So I think it's a pretty cool idea. And this trailer looked interesting. It didn't look bad. I know some Nicolas Cage stuff, people have made a lot of jokes about some of his stuff being pretty overly acted and stuff, but I'm going to definitely check it out. I'm curious what they're going to do here.
Yeah, for someone who hasn't been deep on his part in this and all, this was, eye-catching. And even for me, it was like, okay. So, I'm curious what this is going to be and might be something they take a look at. Mission accomplished from my point of view.
Oh, I'm definitely going to watch this. I have not seen Into the Spider-Verse. I've been told by a million people it's fantastic. So I might actually watch this before this thing premieres. I mean, Nicolas Cage, he named himself Cage after Luke Cage. He's a huge comics nerd, and I love noir. So I'm totally down for this.
Yeah, I would recommend at least checking out the first movie just so you get a taste of what his character's like. All right, Kevin, you've got some news about Stranger Things.
We have to go back. For those who, like me, are kind of bumming that Stranger Things is, the official show, the main show, has ended. Well, we do have a chance to go back to Hawkins and all with the animated show, Stranger Things Tales from '85. We've been hearing about that now for a little bit. So we do actually, link in the show notes, if you haven't caught it yet, folks, do have the official teaser. And much like another teaser we were talking about earlier, this is a good meaty one, close to 2 minutes long. So you do get to see, some of our characters and some situations and what might be going on. This is coming April the 23rd to Netflix. And do keep in mind that this is not, as far as the voicing goes, with the cast that we had for the live action. So, go know that going in, so you're not like, oh, who's that? So again, if you're a really big fan of the Stranger Things universe, this could be a lot of fun. But again, you're not going to get the same voices, cast members that we had for the live action side.
Yeah, this one I'm not entirely sure that I'm going to watch. I did like this teaser. I just don't know if I'm going to have time.
I'm right there with you, Woody. The teaser's interesting, and I do like the Stranger Things universe, but to me, it's really the characters and the actors that brought them to life, I think, that I'm more interested in. So I'm not sure. I'm a little dubious. If I can get a full trailer, maybe it'll change my mind. Maybe I'll check out a first episode. But I don't know. I'm just not having the same voice actors for. I think there might be a couple of minor characters that have the same voice actor, or the same actor doing the voice. But yeah, the big ones are not. And I don't know that I don't want to prejudice that the show for that, because those voice actors might do an incredible job with those characters, the new ones. So I'm really hesitant. I'm on the fence right now. Let's put it that way.
Yeah, for me, it's not because the actors aren't involved. It's really just, are these stories, is there more here that I really want to see that's set in that time period? Or is there more that I actually just want to see of the story we were watching? Beyond the finale versus in the middle of the story.
Yeah. Seeing the front, seeing more of what happens afterwards would be interesting, but I don't think we're going to get that. All right, moving on. Wendy, you've got some news about One Piece.
Yeah, One Piece is a show I'm not watching, but we have a link in the notes to the season 2 official trailer. It's pretty packed with stuff. But again, I haven't watched it, so I can't comment on how much it ties to the world. And we don't have much time to wait for it. It comes back on March 10th on Netflix.
Cool. I know that Kevin's got some things to say about season 1 that he's been watching, but I haven't yet watched season 1, but I think that's one thing I want to do and skim, get through it as fast as I can. Mainline season 1 so that I can check out season 2 with, I think Kevin's going to be interested in watching it. So I think at least I'll be able to watch it along with him.
Yeah, as Brent did a good job teasing, once we get to Back Porch a little later, I'll talk about, I finished season 1 of One Piece, so I'll talk a little bit my viewing there. But yeah, I'll definitely be on board for season 2. And this is one of those interesting cases where when this came out, the trailer came out, I had not yet finished season 1, but as we do the podcast, we check these things out and all. So purposely, once I finished season 1, I went back to watch the trailer, and there's definitely several things in here where like, oh, okay, that makes more sense now. And ooh, that'll be interesting. So, this is definitely one where if you are a viewer and having seen it, a lot of what you see here will, make some more sense, as it often does when you're a fan of a show. But they have done a good job, as I've learned a little more about the original source material of, really leaning in hard to make it very similar, visually especially to what you got in the original content. And some of these pirates, shall we say, or villains, very much like, from what I've read up, what was on paper. And they've really got them. And that's part of what this show does well, is just everything is big, So yeah, this looks really good. I'm very much looking forward to season 2.
Pirates, villains? No, they're just misunderstood heroes, Kevin.
That was the phrase I kept looking for. Okay.
Yeah. All right. I have got some information here, an article for a show that I'm not sure we even talked about before. It's a show called From, F-R-O-M, From. And apparently this is a teaser for the season 4 of From. It's on MGM+. Season 4 is going to be premiering on April 19th. And it seems supernatural in nature. Maybe a bit of dead people coming back to life sort of thing, what we've seen many times before, but I'm not sure based on this teaser. I'm really looking forward to seeing a trailer to see if it's something I should go out and watch. And if any of you listening have seen From, let us know what it's like, and is it worth watching?
Yeah, I'd be curious to hear those thoughts too, because being MGM Plus, I don't have that. I can't say this is driving me to really want to watch it, but I am very curious.
Yeah, I had MGM Plus very briefly to watch Beacon 37, 47, one of those, which I really liked, but they canceled it. And I used to see From as one of the shows, and I do know some people have watched it. It definitely has a horror element, but I'm not sure if it's zombies or what is the horror aspect, just supernatural or whatever. Everyone I know who watched it really liked it, but I can't speak to it. So hopefully we do have some listeners that are familiar and can share.
Yeah, let us know how much of horror is it, because I'm not really a fan of horror. So I would like to know ahead of time if it's something I'm not going to be interested in. All right, Kevin, you've got some news about one of our favorite shows.
Absolutely. We've got most of us, I think certainly the three of us here and many of you, The Mandalorian, greatly enjoyed that show. And as most of you know, if you're paying attention, it's going to the big screen rather than getting another season on Disney+. So yes, The Mandalorian and Grogu, where the official trailer has been released just in the past few days. It's only got like 10 million views, so it's not like people are paying attention to this or anything. So, yep, you get a chance to see a little more about what will actually be on screen. I know they had some other a teaser or something a while ago that had very little content, so to speak. So it's brought back some great memories from the early seasons, especially of the show. So you're going to have to, go to your local theater if you want to catch it when it becomes available, which is going to be May the 22nd. But like I said, great to see the characters. I'm now in my head wondering, can I get enough time to do like a rewatch, before? Because this will be a movie that I think might actually get me back to the theaters for the first time in, 1-2 years or more.
I think I saw this during some awards show, or maybe it was the Super Bowl. I don't know. This one definitely seemed like it had a little bit more, but I'm very excited for this movie to come out. I'm a little bummed that it isn't going to be a multi-episode series. I don't know that I'm going to watch it on the big screen, but I'm definitely going to watch it.
Yeah, listeners might wonder why we're talking about a movie that's not on a streamer or on TV, and that's because it's based off of something that we've been enjoying on TV, so we just thought we would mention it. And I'm kind of there with you, Kevin. I haven't been to the movie theater since way before the pandemic. I'm thinking about it. I'm seriously thinking if I should. And the reason I'm thinking about if I should is not because I can't wait. I don't mind spoilers. I don't mind waiting for stuff to come to streamers. It's because I have heard through sources I trust that this is a test to see if Dave Filoni and his Mandalorian universe can succeed on the big screen. Because the next movie after this would be the big, like, Avengers movie, I think, or one of the movies that would come next would be like the big Avengers movie sort of thing, where all of the characters that Filoni and Favreau have introduced on Disney Plus shows will come together for a big battle. It's supposedly going to be a major grand epic, and I want that to happen. I don't want them to not do that. And people I trust have said, if this movie doesn't do well, they're probably not going to go for that big movie. So I'm thinking of going to the theater, even though my one ticket probably won't matter much. But if enough people like me, who just don't go to the theater anymore at all, decide to go, that might make a difference. So I'm pretty excited to see it.
Yeah, and I think for me, it's just, I really love this show, and it's a lot of fun. And I'd like to go back to a theater and have some fun. So, much like Wendy, not that I couldn't wait for it to come to Disney Plus, since it'd probably be fairly quickly, since that is kind of the way the world works, especially for them. But yeah, I just think it'll be fun. It might be one I try to, get my son-in-law who's a sci-fi fan, or maybe some others, and just make this a fun experience like they all want us to do as far as theaters go, and I really haven't in forever. So we'll see. May's a long way away. Let's see what's happening by then, but might be the one that finally gets me to do it.
That's a good point, Kevin, especially May. I don't know if it's coming out Memorial Day weekend, but, it used to be a big deal. Like, we would go see the Harry Potters or the Lord of the Rings, and it was, a thing that I would do with a lot of people. So maybe we'll revive it.
Yoo-hoo.
I think it is coming out like the Thursday or Friday of Memorial Day weekend. So they're trying to hit on that big holiday time.
Awesome. Well, like I said, right now I think I would probably buy a ticket. So we'll see how it goes. All right, Wendy, you've got some news about another show we like around here, Good Omens.
Yes, Good Omens for season 3, its final season, will be coming out also in May 13th, and we have a link to, it's really just the announcement of the date, but it's still sweet. We go to the shop that we're familiar with from the story. It's very exciting to have a specific date. It feels like it's been a long time. I just love these characters in this world, so I'm definitely looking forward to that.
Big time looking forward to it for me too. It's a show that's been a lot of fun to watch. I mean, we've got stars in there that we love. It's got a universe that's really cool, full of quirky characters. And the story ended in a place where I want to see where it goes from now, from this point. So yeah, I'm really excited.
Yeah, this wasn't one I've watched, but I know, you folks and many others are greatly enjoying it. And after the issues with Neil Gaiman and all, and which pushed this and such, and it's only like a 90-minute movie or something from what I've read. But good to get it back, but also interesting that the little teaser was a social media post on the Good Omens, like I believe Twitter, aka X account. And I haven't seen it, officially online, if you will. So I think they're being a little cautious to make sure it's, shared with people who are fans of it so it doesn't get as much backlash, one might say.
Kevin, I think you would like Good Omens. I wouldn't say it's the same as like a Wednesday, but it's got the quirky characters like Wednesday has. It doesn't have a central female character in it, though. It's two male characters, but they're actors that I'm sure you appreciate, especially David Tennant.
Good relationships in there too.
Yes. Oh, that's a good point. There is a good relationship too.
Yeah, it has been, shall we say, on the radar for that reason. Both from the actors, the two main leads, and just some of the clips. I mean, the dry sense of humor, the approach to it. So it's not something I've ruled out. I just haven't got there yet.
And a show that it reminds me of, not in the sense of the story, but in the sense of the quirkiness of the characters and maybe even a bit of the pacing and stuff, is Pushing Daisies, which I think you liked, Kevin.
Yep, that's a good call, Brent.
I was a big fan of that.
Yeah, it's a good show.
Yeah, it's Pushing Daisies with British accents.
All right. Well, I've got some news about something that I've been enjoying on YouTube, and I wanted to let everybody know about it. Katie Sackhoff, who, of course, played Starbuck in BSG, has never seen BSG. She's never watched it. She's seen, a few, dailies and things that have come through and maybe a few clips at conventions and stuff, but she's never watched the show ever. And that's something that her husband has also never done. So since she started her whole presence on YouTube over the last couple of years, doing a podcast, she's decided that she's going to sit down with her husband and they're going to watch BSG. And they've already watched the first 2 parts of the miniseries. And the very first episode of season 1 is, at the time of this recording, the episode entitled 33. And it's really fun to see them watching it together and to see her especially watching scenes that she's didn't know anything about. They weren't part of anything she's done. She ever read them in a script. She's completely forgotten about them. But also seeing her commenting on things behind the scenes, things that they did, like in 33, they did a big fight in the Vipers out in space, and she was talking about how they filmed that in the spaceship set, where they're in there, and how they have air pumped into the helmet to keep them from overheating and keep them from fogging up and stuff. And also how she fell asleep one day in there, and they just let her sleep while they went to lunch. And then she woke up saying, "Hey, where's everybody?" And also in this latest one, 33, she also pulls one of her helmets from the show, not the primary helmet, not the star one, the hero helmet or whatever, but a backup helmet that she was gifted, and she puts it on at some point at the end, which is really cool to see her in that at this point in her life. So it's a real cool show. This link is to the playlist, which they're adding to every week. So check it out if you like Battlestar Galactica or if you like Katie Sackhoff.
Yeah, I'm subscribed to her channel. I've enjoyed, excerpts from her interviews with folks who are on BSG and other folks as well. She's got a great style and a comfort level when she's interviewing folks. So hearing her talk about the fact this was coming, I've definitely got it on my radar. I haven't watched either of these two that are out as of we record yet, but it is on my watch list for that reason, because I think it'll be a lot of fun to see the two of them have such brand new views on it, having not seen it and all. So, 33 as a first episode of a series. I mean, technically we had the mini series first, but I still think 33 is one of the best first episodes or pilots, what do you want to call it, of any TV show ever. Just it's a great way to kick off that series.
Yeah, I really like Katie Sackhoff, and every time I hear little snippets of her doing podcasts with various guests, I'm always like, hey, I need to check that out. So I'm glad you shared the link, Brent, because that will make me actually go check it out.
Yeah, very much worth it. And as Kevin indicated, her podcasts are not just with BSG. She interviews everybody who she finds interesting from the industry or just other people who aren't even, in the film industry. So it's a really cool podcast too. All right. Well, before we get to our tuner minute, as we usually do to wrap up the water cooler, we're going to talk at first about the Tuning Into Sci-Fi TV Genre Television Hall of Fame 2025 inductions. We're a little late because of holidays and scheduling issues and things. We've kind of been pumping this out, but we're at that point now where we're going to actually induct people into or not necessarily people, things into the Hall of Fame. Kevin's going to start us off, and we're going to go a little bit round table, and then we're going to get inductions from Kevin, from Wendy, from me, and then from you guys, the listeners. So kick it off, Kevin.
All right. No pressure. Here we go. For me, this is a show I've had, shall we say, in my list for a few years now, in the sense of when we started to do the Hall of Fame, where I just knew when it became eligible, the 10-year rule, I'm like, this baby's got to be right near the top anyway. And for me, I am going to induct the TV show 12 Monkeys. This ran for 4 seasons, 47 episodes. And, when you often hear folks talk about like sports Hall of Fames, especially, and they talk about, how do you decide when something qualifies or someone to be in at that level, a Hall of Fame and such. And the thing I've always gravitated to is when they talk about them, they talk about at the time that someone, for example, an athlete was playing or when a show was airing, was it considered one of the best of its time and maybe of all time as well? And for me, 12 Monkeys was. This was, and I think it might still be, maybe Westworld, the show as far as the smartest TV show or science fiction show out there, with the job they did over the course of the 4 seasons, with a very detailed story, a very deep one. Lots of tentacles in lots of directions, with time travel done right, but also give yourself a headache thinking about the ramifications for it. And I just think the writers, the acting in this show was fantastic. Still is. It's maybe something I wish I have the time to go back and do a rewatch to truly appreciate it. Because I think it's fantastic that way. I mean, some of the actors, the lead characters, Aaron Stanford as James Cole, Amanda Skrull as Cassie. We even had from, many of you know him from Fringe, Kurt Acevedo was in this and fantastic. And especially Emily Hampshire as Jennifer Goines. I mean, she should have won Emmys for the work she did. The crazy genius there. So this to me was a show very much deserving to be there. It's one of those rare ones, as we talk from time to time, and you have folks who are not sci-fi fans and roll their eyes at superheroes or science fiction or whatever, where you can say, you like good TV. You want your brain to have to be engaged. This is one of those shows.
Oh, I love this choice. 12 Monkeys is a show that whenever people ask me for recommendations for stuff, it's one of the first shows I ask if they've seen, especially if they tell me they like time travel shows. At the time it was on, it was far and away one of the most well-constructed narratives. time travel can get very complicated. I didn't feel like I had to do my homework. I could let the show wash over me and be comfortable that they would answer the questions at some point, and they generally did. And it didn't rely on hand-waving. They pretty much checked every box of things and how key points in the story moved, the implications of everything. You mentioned Cole and Cassie and Jennifer Goines. I would throw Todd Stashwick in there, as well as, I can't remember her name, but she was the actor who played the scientist, the lead scientist. It was just such a great show, and I'm pretty much confident that show holds the test of time in terms of, if you watched it today, it would be very compelling. If it went to a streamer, I would bet it would jump into the top 10. If it got just even a little bit of love. And I gotta say, that cast was fantastic. I've seen them a few times at Dragon Con, and they were just so enjoyable and obviously enjoyed working with each other and were deeply invested in the story themselves.
Yeah, amazing actors, good characters, pretty cool story. I think that I have forgotten enough about this show that I could do a rewatch now and actually be surprised by it, which is a good sign for me if I wanted to do a rewatch. Those of you who've listened to the podcast long enough and know that I am a time travel nutcase, I just love time travel, everything about it, might find it shocking that the last 2 years, Kevin has inducted 2 time travel shows, Continuum last year and 12 Monkeys this year. And I remember when I sat down to think about watching 12 Monkeys when it first came out, I kind of didn't watch it in the very beginning. And the reason was because Continuum had just, been on the air. I don't even know if they conflicted a little in time. I think they did. And I was thinking to myself, Continuum was the best time travel I've seen on TV right now. And I was looking at this 12 Monkeys, and I was thinking back to the movie that came out, and I was thinking, that was kind of a weird movie. I don't know if I really want to watch this weird show. But I did finally start watching it and really just came to the conclusion that I absolutely love it. Kevin and Wendy have both mentioned actors and characters that just really entangled me in the show, really just brought me in and dragged me in, and I just loved and adored. So, yeah, this is an excellent, excellent inductee, Kevin. Good job.
And it's funny, too, because I had similar thoughts, Brent, in the sense that the Continuum ended like right within a couple of months of when 12 Monkeys started. So, and as far as the Hall of Fame goes, I had the same concern, like, well, Continuum and 12 Monkeys are like the two for me as far as time travel shows that are just so good. You can recommend to anyone who enjoys TV. I was like, do I really want to put them for me anyway as my back-to-back inductees? And I'm like, no, they're both so good. I don't want to limit it by thinking I need to wait like a year between or something. But they had the same thing, because I remember when 12 Monkeys really started to roll, Continuum was still right there with me, because it had just finished. So there wasn't quite as much distance, but still, man, it's like we both have said, it's just like, this was one of those earliest ones where, you couldn't watch the show if you, or at least for me, had a bad day or were only half paying attention or wanted to check your email or something on your phone or something, because there was too much happening at too much of a deep level that if you didn't catch it, they're going to build on that point for 3 seasons. So you better make sure you know it. So it really was attention TV. So, yeah, good stuff.
All right. Well, if there's nothing else to say about 12 Monkeys, let's go on to Wendy.
Okay, so I am nominating an entity for history purposes, and I'm nominating Desilu Productions. And you're like, Desilu Productions? That's the people that did I Love Lucy. That is true. And when Lucille Ball was president of Desilu Productions, originally she and Desi Arnaz formed through a partnership, Desilu Productions. After they divorced, she bought him out and became the president. And while she was president, she greenlit and produced Star Trek. And one of the most important decisions she made, and money put behind, was agreeing to a second pilot of The Cage, she got NBC to stick with that show. And at the time, she said she didn't fully understand Gene Roddenberry's vision, but she believed in the future, which was why she wanted to back the show. And this company is fascinating. The partnership between Lucille Ball and Desi Arnaz is fascinating, because not only did she make that decision, but how they built that company enabled syndication, because Desi Arnaz, he did not like the way broadcast TV looked when they made I Love Lucy. So he requested that they film it. And they even took a pay cut so that it could be filmed, and so that Desi and Lucille owned all of the filmed episodes of I Love Lucy. That enabled them to rerun the show, and they had a big hit show that they then were able to sell back to CBS, and they used that money to fund their production company for more expansion. But they also enabled what we consider syndication, which is also fundamental to so many of the genre shows we love, including Star Trek and Next Generation, which many people learned about and fell in love with those shows through syndication. So I wanted to give a shout out to the importance of that company and what they did to enable some of the models that so much of sci-fi used to enable shows in the 80s and the 90s. You know, they would go directly to syndication or be modeled after what they enabled. So I wanted to give them a shout out.
That's a great one. That's what this whole Hall of Fame is about, you know, impact and influence and legacy and everything that Desilu has done or is responsible for is you know, pioneered, makes them very, very, and the founders very eligible for this Hall of Fame for sure. I remember seeing some documentaries about Desilu, and some of them it was in relation to Star Trek, as you said, but others as well. And it is just a really cool thing. Lucille Ball in general, Desi Arnaz is you know, has his own, you know, things that we can glow about, the things he's done. But Lucille Ball, she just always just amazed me whenever I would look into her life and the things she did and her achievements, not just as you know, you go back to some of the very early movies, you can find her in some black and white 30s movies, I think, late 30s. You can see her as kind of like the bubble-headed, sort of dim-witted redhead, or in the case of the black and white movies, she looked more like a blonde. And then, you know, becoming basically a Hollywood industry leader by the time of Desilu, and everything she's done with you know, behind the scenes, in front of the camera, just an amazing person, and so funny too, absolutely funny, had a great sense of humor. So yeah, I mean, Desilu in general, great pick, Wendy, good job.
Yeah, this is where I find the Hall of Fame really fun, when one of us goes beyond just the, shall we say, the surface level or the easy choices of some of the shows or people to think about impact for the reasons you mentioned, Wendy. There's a couple of fan YouTube channels that are look back at Star Trek, TOS, the original series, the early days, shall we say. And I've definitely seen, like in the last year especially, one of these channels does a good job of kind of looking at, you know, what happened and, you know, what big decisions were made, what small decisions were made, what creative things for $1.99 worked to make the transporter idea work and so forth. But they always look at it, and as we discussed, and many folks are becoming aware, the support from her and from Desilu, and the money, as you pointed out, with getting NBC to do a second pilot, that commitment on this idea that at the time, I'm sure, looked a little crazy because people didn't understand it, and sci-fi wasn't what it is now. It's just amazing. So many of those had to fall in place, and her belief and willing to put the money up to do it, to let some of these creative people, both writers and other folks, the creative side, it's just, you know, brought so much joy and so much entertainment to so many of us. You can't downplay how important and critical that was.
Yeah, Lucille Ball was amazing. I mean, if she had only been a comedic actress who starred in I Love Lucy, she would have been iconic. But she was incredibly smart. And the love story of her and Desi Arnaz is fascinating. You know, she got pregnant. You couldn't even say the word pregnant on TV when they incorporated that whole storyline into the show. They aired the episode where she gives birth on this same day as when she actually gave birth to her child. So they were super savvy. And Kevin, you were talking about, you know, getting this second pilot done. It was really only because of her. She had so much sway at that point and money to back it up, but credibility. And that was at a time when women were not VPs and presidents of production companies. They still aren't. So it really can't be understated what she, and Desi Liu and Desi Arnaz too. I mean, he really did have a vision, built. And, you know, I just mentioned Star Trek, but like they backed Mannix and a whole bunch of other non-genre shows as well.
Yeah, great one. I've got an inductee as well. Mine is in the category of technology. Now, that's not something we induct a lot. And we're looking at the list here. Back in 2014, Kevin brought in the digital video recorder, the DVR. In 2018, I brought in color television. And in 2020, Wendy brought in the TV remote control. That's three pieces of technology that we believe are worthy to be in our Genre Television Hall of Fame. In this year, 2025's induction, I'm going to bring in the technology of video streaming. I think that is playing such a key role in our fans' ability to enjoy genre television or genre programming, as well as bringing, I think, a lot of people who wouldn't check it out when it was something you had to make sure you watched at a certain time on network TV or went to a theater to watch or something. People who are just browsing through Netflix or for Amazon Prime or Max or whatever, and they just happen across a show. It's doing a great wonders for spreading genre television and genre programming to the masses. I'm thinking back to, I did a little research. Netflix started offering streaming of its titles in 2007. Amazon Prime only started offering streaming of content in 2011. So while it seems just yesterday to us, that was pretty long ago. So I think video streaming deserves to be here. So I'm inducting it.
Yeah, and an excellent choice for just the reasons you're saying and more. I get a kick, you know, it's the kind of the get off my lawn generation with my daughters or other similar friends who are 35, she is younger than me and so forth, that, you know, trying to, and you pointed it out, Brent, many years ago, if you wanted to share a show, 12 Monkeys, Continuum, whatever it might be, you had to get people to like you mentioned, program a DVR, go search in a guide for it, buy DVDs. Remember those days, swapping DVD sets to get someone to watch a show and the effort that went into doing it? And now that they can literally just sit down and on their phone, goodness sake, bring up that show in less than 2 minutes once they know where it is. And it's become such the norm. And hey, can lead to all that discussion about, I miss cable because now we're spending even more on streaming, but the technology side of it and how easy it is to do and reliable. It's an amazing thing. Great choice.
I love this choice. Video streaming. Wow. You know, it also has, I would say, normalized genre television, as well. You know, it's not weird or unusual. It's just another choice for people. And it's really brought, you know, global visibility and access as well. Great choice. Yeah, really. And also it does let people discover things kind of when they discover them. It doesn't necessarily have to be the moment it's released. People can go back and find things. And, you know, we talked about nominating 12 Monkeys. Hopefully that's a show that people will find somehow through streaming. It's funny you were talking about, you know, the get off my lawn people. I was having a conversation with someone today who talked about missing when they had cable and they used to just channel surf to find something to watch. And streaming has really change that model, because you can somewhat channel surf now. When you click on things, it gives you a little bit of a preview of what it is. But it's not the same. But I would argue that video streaming is better and has just opened up people to have access to so much more. So great choice.
Yeah, it has so many benefits. It does have a bit of a negative too, which is the fact that, shows disappear from streaming, and and then people are arguing for physical media again and stuff to be able to watch things they really want to watch. But in general, I think it's so much of a positive that it's beneficial to all of us. Okay, we have a final inductee. We always induct 4 things every year, one from each of us, Kevin, Wendy, and myself, and one from you, the listeners. And we open this up. We talk about it in the show. We ask you to submit your nominations. Usually it's on Discord. Sometimes it's email, voicemail, whatever. We did a little bit of tallying, and it turns out that this year's inductee, 2025 inductee, from the listeners, from you, is the TARDIS from Doctor Who. Now, we've identified this as a character. I was originally going to identify it as an entity, but after a little bit of discussion, we realized it really is a character. It is alive in the show. We've learned that from watching Doctor Who. It has played a vital role in all of Doctor Who since its start. When it was not used as much in the Jon Pertwee first year, a lot of people noticed, and it was considered some of the weaker stories because of it. But the TARDIS is something that is iconic. People who don't even watch Doctor Who are starting to recognize what the TARDIS is, the blue police box. You recognize it. You see it on the street, or you see a little trinket that's hanging from your keychain or something that somebody got you. It's very, very recognizable and iconic, and I think it deserves a place in the Hall of Fame. So thank you, listeners, for nominating it.
Yeah, this was another excellent one. I believe it was Wendy inducted Doctor Who, the show, at one point, but the TARDIS itself and how it is so recognizable for so many people and has such an impact in the show that it's another great choice, listeners. Bravo.
Yes, this is awesome. I love this choice. Thank you to our awesome listeners who nominated this. We've talked about how much I love Doctor Who for years. I did induct it a while back. I love how the TARDIS changes as the Doctor regenerates. We've seen how it makes its own choices. It's a bit of an enigmatic character sometimes. And the one thing that I immediately thought of was from the 50th anniversary special show, the Billie Piper avatar of the button was talking to the doctors, and it's like, remember the sound, the wheezing sound when the TARDIS is coming? That's the sound of hope. And I just love this choice. Great job.
Yeah, excellent all around, guys. It's a good class, I think. So check the website if you want a little more detail. We'll try to add some more detail about these inductees there over time. And also go enjoy the rest of the inductees if you haven't looked at the Hall of Fame link on our webpage, on our blog at tuningintoscifitv.com. It's a lot of fun to read through. To wrap up the water cooler, we're going to do a Tuner Minute, as usual. This is one that I recorded, and it's entitled Earliest Memory. I have many memories of my earliest exposures to genre television. I recall watching Doctor Who episodes on PBS with my father in the late 70s and early 80s. I also remember watching reruns of Star Trek, the original series, in the 70s after school. But I don't know if I can remember my very first experience with genre television. It could be that I was too young, or maybe I didn't instantly fall in love with it, so the memory didn't really stick. Can you remember your first time checking out genre television? If not, what are some of your earliest memories of genre TV?
Well, the foundational one, because I can't remember anything else around that same time, was Star Trek, the original series, much like you mentioned, Brent, and I think for many of us, get off the lawn, folks, after school. Syndication on, in my case, and I think many others, your UHF channels that played nothing but syndicated shows from 3 o'clock on for those of us, and I have vivid memories of watching it. think it was 4 o'clock local time for me. And I was, like out of school around 2:33. So it was always the one to get home, get some stuff done that I had to, and make sure I had the time to watch 5 days a week to be able to see those. And this was early 70s for me. As far as the one that kind of sticks out. Somewhat related to that, if I take this just a little bit further, is I do also remember the very first genre show that I watched in its initial run. And that for me was Kolchak the Night Stalker in 1974 when that premiered in the fall. That was the first one I remember watching when it was in first run. So fun stuff.
So I'm going way back. I mean, I've always said that Scooby-Doo was my first genre show because it was a show about a talking dog. And the mystery, the murder ghost things were always fake, but the fact that the dog could talk was definitely genre. And I don't know what years those were. So that was in the late 60s, early 70s, but for me, it's Saturday TV. It's Super Friends, Almighty Isis. Probably my first space show was the Jetsons. If we want to talk about, I would say my earliest memories of watching television in general. The original Star Trek was my first, I would call it traditional space-based sci-fi. I did watch, what was it called? Land of the Lost, or Lost in Space in syndication. But I was not attached to that show in the way that I got attached to watching Star Trek. So I think Star Trek sort of captured my imagination in the way that some of those others did not. But definitely the Jetsons. I'm still looking for those cool personal spaceships, and I would love a maid robot.
Oh, great call on the animated genre shows. I hadn't even thought of those, Wendy. I'm sure I probably even saw those before Star Trek. So yeah, those are awesome. Kevin, you're right about the after school stuff and watching the syndication, and Wendy, you too. I remember seeing Mission Impossible, the 60s version of that, Lost in Space, as Wendy mentioned, Time Tunnel, which gave me my love of time travel. I remember watching that in syndication after school, and Land of the Giants, and even Green Acres. All sorts of shows.
Oh, yeah. Land of the Giants.
Yeah. Yeah, good stuff. And Kolchak brings back a lot of memories. I didn't watch it first run, Kevin, but I did. My father loved it. I'm sure he probably watched it first run. I probably didn't, have a chance to watch it with him first run, but he loved watching it, in repeats and getting VHS tapes of it later. So I had a lot of fun with that one, too.
Good memories, Brent. Thank you.
Yeah. Testing everybody's memory. All right. Well, that's it for the spoiler-free stuff. We're going to head over to the spoiler-filled back porch. A few shows to talk about. Today we talk about Fallout, Star Trek Starfleet Academy, One Piece, and Alien Earth. First up, I'm going to talk about the Fallout Season 2, basically. We had the finale, and I didn't talk too much about it at the time. I'm sorry, the finale just came out. We didn't talk too much about the entire series, I don't think, when we last talked about it. We haven't had a chance to talk about the whole series after the finale. So I just wanted to make a few comments about what I really found exciting about it. And I know Kevin wants to talk about some things he found maybe a little disappointing about it, but we'll get to that in a second. But I did love the whole interaction with Lucy and her father. I love that bit. Lucy in the episode we did last talk about, the one before the finale, she had basically taken her father hostage or prisoner and said she was going to free all the people and bring him into justice, bring him to justice and such. And by this episode, though, he's able to turn the tables on her. And he actually has got to the point where he thinks the only way to save his daughter, as in his mind, which is bring her back to the little girl that he raised or helped raise with his mother for a short period of time until he killed her, is to basically brain control her, mind control her, wipe her mind, stick the little thing on the back of her neck, and turn her into an obedient little girl again. And there's, he's about to do that, which I think was an excellent scene, because the whole time that this was happening, I was thinking, who's going to save her? It's got to be the ghoul, because he's there, but is he there? Is he going to find her? How could he find her? And sure enough, he manages to save her in the last moment. But he doesn't just, whisk her away or anything. He just slides a gun to her and says, well, you figure out what you're going to do with your daddy. I got other things I need to do. He moves on, which I think is just perfect for that character and for their interaction together, for their partnership, their relationship. And her decision to stick the thing on her father instead of killing him, and then, talking to him outside, and then her father with the remote. Now, there's a lot of controversy over this remote. He pushes a remote, and he acts as if his mind has been wiped. He basically did what she was threatening to do, and he knew that she would do it, and push the button, and he would have no control over his life anymore, so he pushes the button. A lot of people are speculating that button didn't do what we think it did and what she thinks it did, and that he's faking it. And that would be so him. If you think about it, that would be so in character for him to pretend like his mind was wiped so that she will just leave him be or whatever, give up on him or whatever she's going to do. And then he can go back to being evil again. So I'm kind of on that school of he faked it. He didn't really do it. That's why he pushed the button instead of her. So he could pretend that he did it, and she would think that it happened. I also like the story of the ghoul that we got at the end of this. I was a little teased and annoyed that we didn't get his family, but I like the intrigue, and I like the fact that the postcard was there with you were right about Colorado or whatever she said in the postcard, meaning that, and in the flashbacks we see that they really didn't separate because of falling out of love or disputes between them. It was because he was sent off to jail, and that's why they separated. And she believed him, and she had faith in him, and she agreed with him in the end. And she took apparently their daughter to Colorado. So hopefully they're still in, suspended animation and frozen somewhere in Colorado and not dead. But he's decided he's heading off to Colorado. So I don't know how they're going to have him and Lucy be together again at all, or even with Maximus in this next season. I'm kind of curious how they're going to do that if he's heading off to Colorado. Why would she go to Colorado? There's no reason. You would think that she'd want to maybe return to her vault, maybe go off with Maximus somewhere. Maybe Maximus is going to run away and go to Colorado too. Maybe they decide to just go to Colorado with the ghoul just to go somewhere else because they want to get away from this place because it has such bad memories. But obviously Lucy's father said that he had sent agents out into the field to start the dastardly plan. And of course, we've also got our blonde, one-eyed vault leader who's sent the command or the signal off to the Enclave to start phase 2, whatever phase 2 is. And that just started kicking off. So a lot of stuff going down. And then we got the Maximus's people. He's fled, but his people have decided, his leader has decided to basically ramp up and design this massive armed thing, this massive weapon. And so we've got all sorts of fighting going on. We've got the Roman people, the ones who admire the Romans, the Kaiser, heading into Vegas, and all sorts of things are going down. Big war going to happen, big battles. So it looks like we got a lot of potential for next season. And I'm kind of excited to see it. And I did enjoy the season a lot, and I really liked everything that happened in this episode. But now we get to hear why Kevin wasn't so sure.
Yeah, well, I'm not negative on it. And I'm maybe potentially blaming myself on an expectation level. I remember enjoying season 1 a lot more than I did season 2. Maybe it was just because it was brand new. I don't have any background with the game or games, so I didn't know what to expect. I just found it fascinating, some of these different aspects in season 1. It might have been, and I think I brought this up in one of our discussions on some topic, that season 1 was a drop all at once, and not that I sat down and watched the whole season in a day, but I don't know, I just felt the week between episodes, especially towards, I thought the back half of this season 2 was a little more plodding. I won't say slow, but we would definitely, as you pointed out, Brent, there are several still factions and storylines happening, and I thought it was just kind of taking a while to get to some of them. So I wasn't as deeply engaged in the episodes, waiting a week and having, in some cases, chess pieces being set up, like you pointed out. Our vault leader, who's actually from Canada, and we got a little backstory there. And the fact that the ghoul didn't get his family was kind of okay. I mean, I was kind of hoping we would get something other than hey, you got to go over here. I mean, true to a game scenario, to think you're going to get to the big boss or the big event, and it's like, oh no, actually, here, use this clue to go get it. That's okay. So it wasn't so much disappointing. But again, if you got a great show that you're going to need several seasons, you can't make that big event of reuniting with them happen in season 2. But yeah, I mean, I don't know. I can't. It's hard to explain. I just very much, I thought, really was into deeply and enjoying. I thought the episodes were better in season 1. I still enjoyed season 2. I watched it, every day when it came out. Not like it sat there and said, oh, I got to watch this, or I wasn't interested in it. It just didn't really grab me as much as season 1 did.
So of the three of us, I think I like the show the least. I think I mentioned before, it's very dark, so I don't know that I'd be watching it if we weren't talking about it on our podcast. But for me, the main character that I really track against is Lucy. And in season 1, she was the girl with all the illusions that were slowly, she was kind of fighting for. And in season 2, she's just getting broken down more and more, especially related to her father. And we're seeing more and more how, wild he is. So I think that for me is part of it. I do feel that there were times when things were slow. I am curious where things are going to go. As you mentioned with Maximus and, but mostly what's going to happen between Lucy and her father. I'm not sure I really care that much about the ghoul. I don't think I'm as sympathetic, maybe, as you guys are. So I will watch the next season, but again, this is not my favorite show.
Understood, and appreciated that you're watching it, though. Appreciate that. One thing that
and it's not like it's all, it's hard for me to watch. There's some great performances in it. I mentioned I love Walter Goggins and his performance.
Do you own a pair of Walter Goggins goggles?
I do not.
But you can get them at Walmart.
Yeah, they're great.
He's doing a great job capitalizing on his visibility. Good for him.
Yeah. Oh, totally. And shout out Kyle MacLachlan, because he's made a character that could have easily just been a very narrowly drawn character, human to some extent.
Yeah. He had a depth to it. Yeah.
Yeah, and I love your idea, Brent, of that maybe he's faking it with the button push, because I did know when that happened, I'm like, he's pushing his own button. Not like I instantly went to ha-ha, but kind of like, I'm not sure what that's going to mean. So yeah, that could be interesting if he's still evil guy come next season, and poor Lucy has to deal with that.
I think we were supposed to think that he had finally come to the realization that he had been doing bad, and he wanted to repent, and he didn't want his daughter to have to feel the pain of doing it, so he did it himself. That's what we were supposed to think. But then if you look back on it with a different lens, you're like, wait a minute. You're a sneaky little SOB. So, who knows? All right. Well, I know there's a show that Wendy's watching that she's at least continuing to watch, and maybe she likes it, maybe she doesn't, but that's Star Trek Starfleet Academy. She'll let us know.
Yeah, I did want to talk about Starfleet Academy. This show is very inconsistent for me in terms of its appeal. I really like Holly Hunter's performance. I like the take that she has on this captain. Some of the students I like in general most of the Starfleet officers that are involved, but some of the stories are just not appealing or interesting to me. And I get it. They're running through the, kids away at college tropes. And it's like, those are the ones that don't really work for me. So I'm not going to talk about those too much. I was saying to a friend, though, who had a similar view, and I'm not sure if this was actually in this little batch of episodes, but they had a whole dinner party thing that happened in one of the episodes that was very entertaining, but it was completely like, I don't know that it was relevant or necessary to anything. And it feels like this show is just trying to throw everything at us to figure out what is actually working or sticking. Because even in episode 6, which is the one where they, have to do the old enemy of my enemy is my friend with the Paul Giamatti character who ultimately screws them. It was like that was so obviously coming, but the story itself was very compelling. It had real stakes for the students. The one, I don't know the characters' names, but the young lady who's like the superstar, is going to be on the officer's track. She and the holographic student, they were a great team in that episode. They had real jeopardy in that story. It felt like a real Star Trek story. And then the most recent episode was, we had these horrible things happen, so we have to have a vacation, school break kind of episode to dial down the emotions. And that was the one that Kevin said skip it, as well as me. It was all character stuff, but it wasn't necessary for it to be an entire episode. So I'm watching this show, but I'm almost in the Brent mode of I'm going to start skipping parts to just get to the characters that I like if the story right out of the box doesn't work for me. It's for me, it just strikes me wildly inconsistent in terms of what I find appealing and what I don't.
The Brent 24 method. Yes.
Got to patent that. Oh, yeah, man. And you can hear it in my voice, I'm sure, folks. And we've talked about it, if the show decided that, okay, we're going to be the layback Star Trek, we're going to just focus more on these, shall we say, kids, these young adults, as they're coming into their own and what's involved and being in an academy, and occasionally have some journeys and some adventures and some falling on our faces and learning. Okay, that's your show. And that's kind of where it was for the first 5 episodes. And then episode 6 comes along, which was fantastic for all the reasons Wendy mentioned. Acting, performance, writing, jeopardy, death of some character. I mean, it's like, okay, we've turned a corner. I guess we've started out a little slow. We've now put these young adults in some very dangerous situations. Boom, let's go hit it. And then episode 7 comes and it's like, yeah, it's Christmas break. We're going to hang out here. We're going to have some fun there. We're going to lament over not calling our girlfriend. It's like, what are you trying to do? Who decided to do this from a pacing point of view? It makes no sense at all. Why throw in the episode 6? Don't even do it. I mean, I'm okay. As Wendy said, this show has definitely had several scenes, maybe not a whole episode, several scenes where certain characters are fantastic together. There's some humor. You mentioned that dinner scene. Some of these romantic and just friendships are good. I like the characters. I like where they might be going. And then it goes like off on another tangent that has nothing to do with what's going on. So I'm not sure if it knows what it wants to be, but it ain't succeeding in anything right now is my concern, because it's doing so many different things. But it's Star Trek. And as Wendy said, it's Holly Hunter. And I really enjoy some of these actors and characters. But the story side of this is seriously lacking, because there isn't anything I can kind of count on. And it's not a show like sometimes our shows will be mainly a drama and try to move into some comedy into it, or vice versa, be mostly comedy and throw some drama. That's fine. You've got an identity. We're up to episode 7, and I don't have a clue what the identity of the show is. So we got 3 more in the season. I'm not jumping off, and I'm not bad-mouthing it. I'm just like, I don't know what it is. I don't know what I should expect when I watch it. And not in a good way. It's not one of those shows that's, doing a great job challenging me. So, yeah, I'm really concerned, especially that last one was just such a dud. After such a banger of an episode. And I've joked in the Discord, and a couple of folks chimed in too, that did the showrunners not look at this and say, this isn't going to work at this pacing approach? And if that's the case, then I'm really worried. or something else. I don't know. So, I'm like, ooh, you kind of had me at least appreciating what it was, and now I don't know what it is.
Yeah, I think that's it feels like the showrunners handed out episode titles to the writers, and there's I don't know if there's supposed to be continuity or not, because in the most recent episode, I thought that the kid with, I'll call her the superstar, the one who faked her recommendations, and she's the admiral's daughter, whatever. I was like, now they're going to hook those two up. I was like, please don't do that. And the story about the Klingon going with the guy to his home planet, those characters have a great relationship, but I didn't care at all about the storyline that was going on. So it just feels very disjointed. I am wondering if it's a case where there's just too many different writers and they're all kind of tossing something into the pile for them to figure out what they're good at. I don't know. But if they were going to do that, I would have preferred that instead of them sort of structuring it around the things that happen when you go away to college, instead of that being the anchor, it was, how do we always have a Star Trek type story grounding what these characters are doing? I want to say one of the recent episodes even was written by Tawny. I think Tawny Newsome was one of the writers. There's times when the humor very much reminds me of Lower Decks, which is part of the reason why I like the show. But it's not always, it's almost like, oh, look, we're being funny, instead of just letting the humor flow for me as well. So I'm trying to be patient. I'm hoping they'll bring it around. Sometimes we have shows where the Scooby Gang has to form, and this one might be like that, where they have to kind of figure out what they're actually good at.
Yeah, your point about the writers and maybe how the stories, that might be one of those learning points from season one where, yeah, that didn't work. We got to have some continuity happening, and also tonally, we've got to have an idea of, are we trying to maintain? Are we trying to build? But that was, and a word I used in Discord was whiplash. It was whiplash. It was like, oh, we're hanging out. We're going to see what's going on. And the next episode, we're at war. You're all going to die. Okay. And then we go back. And like you said, it's holiday break. What? So,
well, it kind of actually reminds me of Supernatural, because Supernatural would do this, where there'd be some huge reveal or some really bad thing would happen, and then they'd throw the very funny one-off episode afterwards, and the excuse was, well, the audience needs a break from all that drama. It's like, no, we don't. That was just a diversion, because you can't keep up the momentum of that intensive an episode throughout the season. So I hope they didn't shoot all the story bullets in episode 6. I hope they've got some more gems coming for us in the upcoming episodes.
Yeah, but with something like Supernatural and even Buffy, those were 22 episode seasons. You expected some clunkers, some one-offs, some filler, or like you said, let's not have the audience, shriveled in the corner crying all the time. So I get it, but when you're in the streaming world, 8-10 episode seasons, you gotta, the glue's gotta be there.
Oh, I'm totally agreeing. I'm just telling you what it felt like. It felt to me.
And that's why I
like
can let
that.
those go on those 20 plus episode seasons and not worry about, well, I don't ever have to rewatch that episode approach,
Yep. I would just say, just because I just watched it, I just watched The Night Agent season 2 or season 3. I'm not sure which season was the most recent one on Netflix. That is a show that there's 8 or 10 episodes. It is very well constructed in terms of the pace and the structure. And that's what they're up against. Those are the kinds of things that they need to, set as their bar, because that's what people are getting accustomed to. As Brent talked about, our wonderful world of streaming, it has raised the bar on, hey, I expect 10 good episodes.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Good point.
All right. Well, I guess we'll wait and see. A few episodes left. Kevin, you wanted to talk about One Piece Season 1?
Yes, I do. A few weeks back, I mentioned I was about halfway through the season. It's One Piece Season 1, 8 episodes. They run about an hour each, folks, if you haven't watched. So it's, you got a good length of information in there. So I did finish out Season 1, and I really enjoyed it. I would not go so far as to say I loved it, but there's a lot I really like, and it's building. I think this is a show where Season 2 will tell me a lot as a viewer, whether I do move into that, likely love it, and so forth, or whether it's like, okay, I'm glad I checked this one out. Those who are already fans are familiar, is one of the most popular manga series ever, and hundreds of millions of print copies of over the years. So there's a lot to live up to for those folks who are familiar. I'm just the guy coming in, genre show, let's see what it's like. And in that case, it works. There were a couple issues I had in Season 1, and a couple folks on Discord, we're always plugging on Discord, who have seen it, mentioned that like Eps 3 and 4 were, not the strongest ones of the season, which I would agree with. And, part of that in those and a couple of other episodes in the back half of the season, they do spend a good amount of time giving us the backstory for our Scooby Gang, our crew, on the ship. And it's one of those ones where I'm probably better done if there was less time spent on it, or we spent less time in that flashback to it. I mean, getting the idea across of why this person, had a tough life or made the choices they made. Sometimes it was a bit repetitive in showing it, but that's also somewhat what this show is. As I've talked about, it's very fantastical, and I don't want to use, the word that comes to mind is simple. And I mean that in a good way, in the sense of it's not like there's complex plots or things you can't understand about why certain characters like other ones or don't, or why, the Marines are after our heroes, so to speak, and so forth. So it's pretty straightforward in that way, but in a good way. Our captain character, Luffy, he's just got this thing, since he was a child, wanting to be the king of the pirates and all that. And no matter how many gruff and mean and diabolical pirates are out there, and you don't think he can be one. It's his vision, though, of this idea of living your own journey, of following your dream. And the more we go on in Season 1, the more we see that. That's why this crew of folks who don't have much in common eventually really do gel together, because they believe in that for themselves and others, and they start to have each other's backs. So they do a good job of building that there. And it's got some very fantastical aspects of the characters, and how he's kind of like, Rubber Man, Stretch Armstrong, and can use that in fights. And there's a pirate that his arms and legs and torso and head can all come apart and then go back together, and how hard it is to try to fight him. And some of the other pirates and such have got very big, they're all in black, or they, barely grunt at you, so you can tell they're kind of a bad guy. But again, it's not all bad. That's just, it makes for an entertaining show in that sense. So that's why I say I think Season 2 will be interesting, because from the trailers, it looks like they're bringing in several of the well-known characters, the other pirates, and people that'll get in his way to chase what he's searching for and finding the treasure and all. So that could make for some very fun, I won't say one-offs, but very fun aspects as there's a new character and a challenge for the crew to deal with. So enjoyable, absolutely. I'll be there for Season 2. It's a Netflix drop all at once. I don't think I'll gobble them all up right away, but I'll certainly be watching them and talking about it here on the podcast. It is certainly a show I can recommend to folks. It kind of depends on what you enjoy in your genre shows. Again, don't look for a complex plot or a detailed approach to what's going to happen. And people have confirmed this to me, social circles and Discord, that if you're on board, get it, on board ship, it's because of the characters. You want to see how they're going to come together and do their stuff more maybe than the story, although the story aspect is this idea of, searching for treasure and also following your dream. So, again, it's definitely a thumbs up.
Oh, I'm glad to hear that you enjoyed it. That definitely goes into my thoughts of where it ranks on the list. I'm not sure. It's just pirates are not really my jam right now, but I might change my mind. So I'm glad that you do recommend it.
Yeah, good to hear. It's a show that I think I'm probably gonna skim through it, Kevin. I don't think I'm gonna sit there and watch every single episode, but I'm gonna skim through it so that I can be caught up a bit for season 2 and watch it with you.
Yeah, I mean, and this is definitely one that you look at and say, do I need a break today? Do I just want to kind of only be looking at mostly surface level storytelling? Am I looking for a bit of a smile? Seeing the underdog kind of approach things. That's the kind of stuff that you can enjoy it. As we say, in terms of where it might fit in someone's viewing priority list. I did find myself doing that since I was taking my time to get through this season, that if it was one of those days like, I can't handle anything deep, like I'm also doing a rewatch of The Magicians. And for those who've seen it, I mean, there's some deep stuff in there and some very adult things happening. But, One Piece was like, let's have a little fun. Let's see what our crew is doing this episode.
So on a scale of Percy Jackson, like how much is it like Percy Jackson tonally? Because I do like that that's kind of it's serious, but it's also a lot of adventure, and it's not depressing.
Definitely not depressing. The adventure is just kind of the concept. I mean, Percy had some plot things happening and some new characters that came in, and that. It isn't quite that with One Piece season 1. It's more like Luffy put his foot in his mouth. Oh, look, one of the other crew members, sold him down the river, and how are they going to get out of that? Do I care? Is he going to be, still want to let them rejoin the crew? So it's kind of some of that more than Percy. I wouldn't say they're too similar.
So it's less of an overarching story.
Yeah. I mean, there is just this idea that he literally wants to go to the Grand Line to find this big treasure, and he wants to live his life by his choices. That's a good part of what they're definitely bringing across from the other characters that join in. Not so much they want to do what he wants to do as much as they like the idea that he's getting to do his own approach to following his dream, and they can do similar, and they can do it together.
Awesome. Well, Kevin and I are very excited to hear that Wendy has been watching Alien Earth Season 1, a show that we both enjoyed. So, Wendy, how's that going?
So it's going great. I had mentioned I had started it, and I hadn't quite had a chance to finish. And I just was able to finish in one big bite for like the last 3 or 4 episodes. And wow, did this really come together? I really liked how the evolution of understanding what these kids are. Wendy and her relationship with her brother has gotten really complicated. The boy Cavalier character, and he's Peter Pan, evil Peter Pan, I'll call him. He's very interesting. I really appreciate the characters that they created. I actually am fascinated by the other aliens that they created, especially the multi-eyeball one, and what's going to happen now that it's inside the body of the scientist husband. I just thought they did a great job of building the story in terms of how it started with the capture of the ship to ending with the negotiations to give the ship back, and that's the opportunity basically for all of the prisoners to escape and the children to rebel. I just really appreciated how this show manipulates characters. It doesn't rely on just something conveniently happening. Things happen because somebody was manipulated, positioned, whatever, to do what they're doing. And the great example for me was I want to say it was the finale or the episode before the finale, when Kirsch finds the two boys that have the scientist's body, and he stops them and he's like, "What are you doing? You need to go down this service elevator." And it's like, it was very interesting to see him starting to undermine the boy character, when they're on the plane or the helicopter, and he's watching the break-in happen, and he's just watching it happen. So I'm going to be very curious to see how this all plays out now that Wendy has them in her little bird cage, and her very ominous statement about, now we get to run everything, and what will that mean in terms of conflict coming with her brother, the conflict coming with the other children. I thought they hit a lot of interesting topics, on implications about what this technology is, what these people are doing, but still kept a very compelling story moving forward at the same time. So I'm totally on board, very much looking forward to season 2.
Yeah, smart, exciting, filled with action and a little bit of comedy here and there, a little bit of dark comedy, and yeah, great characters that I really enjoy. I'm with you at the end. It's just the hybrids, especially Wendy, kind of in control now, and they could theoretically control the entire world if they wanted to, if she wanted to, go that route. But having her xenomorph minions and the people coming to the island, and it's good. That's where it ends. I mean, what's going to happen next season? I'm really excited. I'm so glad that I believe. Correct me if I'm wrong, Kevin, but I believe this got a season 2 renewal, so I'm really excited to see where it's going to go.
Yes, I believe you were right. I think we had a lot of, as we talked in earlier, in terms of no news from the network for quite a while after the season ended, but then we found out that was because they were negotiating with the showrunner as part of a season 2 and some other things for him to be involved in. So yes, I'm fairly certain that is the case. And the word that comes to me for this show, and you touched on it with some of the things you brought up, Wendy, is it's very thought-provoking. You're thinking about what this means for them with who they are and what it means, shall we say, for the rest of the human race, and also on this island. And as Brent pointed out, with all of these soldiers coming, what is going to happen? Along with all these crazy aliens, along with the traditional ones we know. So yeah, it's definitely one of those ones that you sit back and watch part of what plays and what it means both on the surface level and also I saw some good videos. I can't remember who it was that did them, but YouTube looking at it, talking about the symbolism of, like you said, the cage, where they all choose to sit, how they're choosing to interact with the humans once they realize what they are capable of. It's really fascinating stuff.
Yeah, and I think it's going to be really interesting to see, I'll call it the maturity level of the hybrids and how fast they, I'll say, evolve. Wendy's whole thing with being able to communicate with the alien, the xenomorph, what do these other kids have up their sleeves? And it'll be really interesting to see kind of where all this goes.
Yeah.
And I did confirm that, yes, it has been renewed for a season 2. And
awesome.
Based on general info, they're estimating a 2027 release.
But that's not that far away now. Okay.
Yeah, that is kind of a while, though. But there's a lot of special effects in this show.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I'm looking forward to it. And, okay, I think that's going to do it for this episode. I want to thank Kevin and Wendy for being here and all of you for listening and checking out our Discord and talking to us there. I look forward to seeing you. I'll catch you next time.
Have a great week, everybody.
Thanks, everyone. We'll see you soon.
If you'd like to contact us here at Tuning Into Sci-Fi TV, we offer a wide variety of feedback options, including email at feedback@tuningintoscifitv.com, our voicemail at 706-927-8478, on Skype voicemail at Tuning Into SciFi TV, or you can visit our website at tuningintoscifitv.com to find the link to our forums or to use the SpeakPipe widget to leave us a voice message. You can also find us on Twitter at twitter.com/tuningintoscifi or on Facebook at facebook.com/tuningintoscifi TV.
The theme music for Tuning Into Sci-Fi TV is by Beatnik Turtle, used with permission. You've been listening to Tuning Into Sci-Fi TV, episode 685, recorded February 22nd, 2026.